I've heard you met Zac Efron while you were modeling in Dubai, and your art has been featured in like Forbes. Wow. And then you had a phone call with Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Yes.
Meet me in the back.
Welcome to Meet Me in the Back. Today, we have an icon, a legend, the one and only Nadya.
What an intro. Wow. Can I record that for myself so when you call me, that's the sound? I love that.
That's your ringtone for me.
Wow. Who's that person?
Okay, that person is you because you are a true... Okay, you're being so humble right now because
You're
literally...
so sweet.
Literally, Nadya is a baller. She is a true... You are a true multi-hyphenate in every sense of the word. You have been a fashion model. You've also been a journalist and you worked for one of like the biggest journalists back in Bulgaria. You've also are an amazing artist in general. Like you're wearing one of your pieces right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve, literally. For you, only for you.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, that's the greatest pickup line. I'm going to use that and like,
There you go.
one day. And your art has been featured in like Forbes, which is
That
wild.
was
Like
wild.
when
too.
I saw that, I was all like, what?
Yeah, I woke up and I was like, what is going on? Because I did a collaboration with this brand in Miami, a shoe brand. And it was my first pair of high heels that I customized. And I woke up and she's like, look what happened. We're in Forbes. And I'm like, this is wild. And just to see your baby there with the Forbes name, I was just so happy about it. Just to have your work seen in such a way is really, really special.
How did you end up working with her?
She reached out to me. That's why social media is actually such a powerful tool. She was like, do you want to be a part of Art Basel and have a custom pair in collaboration with my brand? And I was like, heck yeah.
You're like, of course I do.
Yes. So that's how it all happened. My friends came with me. It was just such a blast, honestly.
Nadya, your art was in Coachella. How?
So I saw that there was a program from Global Inheritance, which is like organization that's all about recycling and sustainability, which is very important to me. And I applied to the program. They choose 20 to 30 artists every year to paint trash bins for Coachella. And they display them as art pieces. And I was like, what? Why not? I want to go to Coachella. I truly believe I actually manifested that.
Oh.
If you believe in manifestation, that's a great example that it is true. Like I swear to it because I told my partner, I was like, next year, a lot of other things are happening. This might be the best year for Coachella to happen for me to go there. I had no idea how it's going to happen and unfold. And then I saw the program and I was like, there you go. And I told him, I'm in. It's happening. And he was like, okay.
You're like,
Because there are like hundreds of artists applying to that. It's wild from the
Really?
whole country, yeah. And then they picked my design. So because you sent your idea, they picked my design. You get a VIP pass. So I went to Coachella.
wait,
It
you had a
was really-
VIP pass to
Yeah,
Coachella?
thank goodness, because otherwise you don't have access to certain lounges. And I'm a grandma, so
And you had to sit.
I had to sit.
You had to
and I had
sit.
to relax, okay? That was my vibe. Just I want to be in the shade and relax because it's so hot. So that's how it happened. Yeah, it was really fun. I loved it. Meeting all the artists. We still keep in touch. They're amazing people, amazing creatives.
And has art always been a part of your life?
Yes, my dad is a painter, so that's how it all started. He was like asking me to color in some of his drawings when I was like, 4 or something. So I pretty much have done art even maybe before I started speaking, honestly. So yeah, it's always been with me. It's my best friend.
Oh, and then how did you get into modeling?
My friends basically forced me because I was such a weirdo in school. I was like very removed from like, I wasn't so much into fashion back then, nothing like that. But they were like, why don't you try modeling? You might be good at it. And I was like, okay, let's see. And I went to this casting. They asked me, what do you do in your spare time? And I was like, I write and I do art. And I was like, let's like remove all of that. No, that's not gonna fly in the modeling industry. So we want you to just be pretty, basically. It's brutal. So I was like, okay, whatever. You're so young. You gotta go with the flow. And that's how it all started. It was like a long journey, like more than 10 years. I was doing modeling, yeah.
10 years?
A long time.
So during that time, throughout that 10-year period, did other agencies also say like, oh, you have to put like your art aside, you have to be a certain way? Were there a lot of like restrictions on you during that 10-year time?
Yes, and actually the aftermath is interesting because you realize all of that afterwards. When you're out of it, you can see the bigger picture, see all the restrictions you had on your body, on your even like mental state in a way. You have to be always on it. But there are a lot of also good things about it, right? Like traveling and meeting a lot of interesting people, working with them. However, yeah, when it comes to restrictions, they're like, oh, you have to lose these centimeters from your waistline. You have to like be a certain weight. Like there are all these like requirements, just like with any job, to be honest, right? We always like will face some requirements and like you have to fit a certain box or parameters. So that's pretty normal. But it was a wild time.
And what were you categorized as? Because I know with modeling, there's like the fashion runway sort of models, and then there's like the commercial models. And how did you fit into the mold that they wanted you to be?
I love how knowledgeable you are about the modeling and / fashion industry, Noeli. I love that.
You know, I may be 4'11", but I watched America's Next Top Model religiously. I know what go-sees are, Tyra Banks. Like, I saw all of
That's amazing.
the comments she's made. Like,
that's cool. And by the way, about the height, did you know that Kate Moss is 172, which is not, 170 even, which is not
this in centimeters? This is not
centimeters. Sorry,
Well,
my
what's the
European, foreign, but so yeah, like yeah, it's in centimeters.
So she's
170. She's
doesn't mean
not
she's
very
little?
tall. Yeah,
Really?
For like the requirements usually are from 172. You can't be under 172 for the most part, but there are exceptions like Kate Moss because she's amazing, obviously. But yeah, height is not important. Nothing is that important when it comes to personality, especially. You know, like that's the most important, right?
You know what? That's true. My personality carries my tiny body.
I love that. Oh my god, that's such a good way of putting it. Like your personality is lit. Yeah, I love your personality. What we were talking about?
This is actually how our whole like conversation is gonna go. We're gonna steer away and then we'll come back. We were talking about like what were you categorized as in the modeling world?
I was categorized as a commercial model, which is like it's a lot of obviously commercials and like editorials. And when it comes to like fashion shows, it's usually like the very, very tall girls. So I'm 174 in centimeters. So that's again considered not like so tall. So I did Bangkok Fashion Week and stuff like that and fashion shows in general, but I was categorized as more of a commercial type of model, yeah.
So when you say commercial, is that more like photo shoots?
Yes.
Not as much like
print, yeah.
Oh, print.
Print. Yeah, again, commercials, let's see, e-commerce, like just all kinds of stuff like that.
How did you end up on the cover of Maxim? Because
Damn.
I have to do a little story. So basically, both Nadya and I have met each other through our work. We both are content creators for Gary Vee's advertising agency, and
We love you, Gary.
shout out to Gary Vee. Like, hi. So basically, at our company, we have this creative connect where once a month, like, some of the creative team presents like what they've done with their life, and your life is amazing and so interesting.
Thank you.
And right on the front of like your modeling, your little modeling like PowerPoint slide is your cover on Maxim. And like Maxim is a sexy ass like cover. You know what I mean? And like just bam, right on the front in front of all of our coworkers. You're just like, fuck it. Like I'm sexy as hell. I'm like, that is a power move, Nadya.
Power move.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
you told me.
I loved every moment of that. I'm like, damn, she is so fucking confident. How did you end up on Maxim? Because when I saw that, I'm like, ooh, I love
That's
her.
amazing. So first of all, I'm gonna tell you that for a big chunk of my life, I was like making myself smaller to make other people feel more comfortable, right? So there is this like expansion recently where I'm like, I don't care. I want to be myself in all the different parts. Because there was a time when I was actually hiding that I was modeling, right? Like I was like, I don't know how people will feel. It's one of those like weird things where people are like, oh my God. And it is fun. It's just unusual, right? And I was feeling uncomfortable around that. But that's why during that presentation, I was like, I'm going to slap that photo right there. And because that's a part of my creative journey, right? Like in a way, like just being all these different personalities for all the different photo shoots and all the different roles I was in is just a big part of my creative journey. And also having the eye and the taste for photography, for aesthetics came from modeling too. So I was like, I'm going to slap that Maxim cover right there for everyone to see. And that's it. So back to your question, how did it all happen is because I was actually at the Miss Bulgaria contest. During that year, actually, we had voting from the audience. People were voting for their favorite contestant. And I was third in the voting. So from there were like different opportunities that came my way, including the Maxim cover. People were calling, for interviews and etc. So they like were recording everything, the whole process when we were rehearsing, just everything. What a fun time. I was 19, I think, or 18.
Oh my gosh. And you were basically on like a reality TV show.
Basically, yeah, which was cool to like make it like that, almost like Big Brother.
So did they dramatize anything?
During the thing, I can't remember any specific occasion where they did that, but afterwards there was a big scandal because I'm gonna drop this right here. So basically, these contests are very corrupted. So when they announced the winner, basically I think she lied about her age. There were certain like scandalous things about that because it was arranged and it went out in the media. So there was a lot of turmoil around that. So even on my Maxim cover in Bulgarian, it says the real Miss Bulgaria. Because people were like,
are you serious? Like you should have won?
Like people were saying that, but everybody had like different favorites, right? But like, of course, Maxim was like, okay, let's put that because it's gonna draw attention.
Yeah.
I did think that people liked me, I hope. But
either
way,
people love you.
Oh my God, they love you. But yeah, basically that's how it all happened.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was wild for sure.
So I've heard you met Zac Efron while you were modeling in Dubai. What was that like?
So it was a Hugo Boss event, and he was the spokesperson for Hugo Boss at the time. And there were a bunch of models at the event, so that's how we met. We shook hands. He was really sweet. He seemed super down to earth, petite, and very nice guy. Very nice guy, yeah.
Wait, how tall is he? Because my like junior high self is like quaking right now because I used to love him because of High School Musical. We're home.
I love him. He's awesome. Yeah, I think I really liked him in Baywatch.
He was in Baywatch?
Yeah, the new Baywatch. Yeah.
He was.
Yes, very cute.
For those out there, my audio engineer Oscar is
having a hard time. Having a real hard time. But yeah, Zac Efron, amazing guy. Very cute. He looks the same.
What other celebrities have you met on while like modeling or traveling? So there's Zac Efron.
Gerard, Butler. Let me see who else. A lot of Bulgarian celebrities. A lot of like singers there, actors. I was like interviewing them while I was a journalist. So, and here in LA, I didn't meet her in person, but I did a custom pair for her, Sistine Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's daughter. So that was really
What?
cool. I wish I met her though. She looks cool. But she's somewhere wearing my shoes, which is kind of cool. And I had a FaceTime with Will Smith.
Okay,
was
there's
wild.
a lot to unpack there. We'll go first with Sylvester Stallone's daughter. How did she find you, and how did she find out about your shoes?
It was a friend of hers, actually, who I met in Sofia in Bulgaria. A friend of mine worked for his family, and he was visiting for work, and I happened to be there. So we met for lunch, and we started talking. He was like, "Oh, you make custom stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "My friend's birthday is coming up, 16." And he was like, "I would like to get a pair for her." So I added her like zodiac symbol on them.
Aw.
You know, the hands, the very famous like
Oh, yes, the painting.
From the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites of all time, and I love putting those on shoes. So that's what I did for her too. Some waves, you know, for LA and for the sea and the ocean, because she loves that. So that's how we connected with this person, and he got the shoes for her birthday.
Wow. So you basically drew like the Sistine Chapel on her shoes.
Because of her
and-
name, Sistine. That's right. That's why he was inspired. He was like, okay, this will be perfect because from the Sistine Chapel. Because I made another pair for another person with the same drawing/painting. He saw it. He was like, this will be perfect for her.
Wow. And then you had a phone call with Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Yes. So basically, his brother got a pair for Christmas for Jada Pinkett Smith, and that was with like some Indian deities. It was like beautiful idea he had. And when I made that, I obviously gave them to him. And then the next day, he was like, "Can you FaceTime real quick?" I was like, "My hair's messy, man. I don't know about that." He's like, "We're all artists here. Don't worry about it." So he calls me, and his brother is there. We talked a little bit, and it was very sweet because he said that he really loved my art, and he's very impressed. And coming from a person on that level, I was like, okay, I might be on to something. So that was really sweet. They're both really, really down to earth, amazing humans.
Wait, how did you meet him again? How did you meet Will Smith? Sorry.
Social media again.
Social media again?
So basically, yeah, his brother reached out to me.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So that's why, again, social media is so powerful, you know, and especially living in LA when you have, like, when you're consistent, I guess. He just saw my art, reached out, had no idea, basically, who he is. How would I know? We had a really nice conversation on FaceTime at first, like talk about the shoes, because he's like, I would like to make an order. And then later down the line is when I understood, because I was like, what is the name I should put on the box? Because when I customize them, I add the name. And he was like, Jada. And I was like, oh, cool. And then after that, like, oh, wait, what? So,
Then you
yeah.
realized it.
Yes.
And then you also were a journalist, right?
I've always loved writing. Remember when I went to that casting and I was like, I write poems, and they were calling me the poem girl. So yes. So I was like, I'm going to go back to that. And I started working for one of the biggest journalists in Bulgaria. Under his wing, I started learning how to write articles, how to like conduct interviews, all these type of things. Yeah.
And we looked him up, and he's apparently part of like the European Parliament,
Yes!
apparently.
I was like, whoa, what a journey he's been on from journalist to the European Parliament. That's pretty interesting.
And then you were a TV host. How was that? And is that
Yes.
nerve-wracking? Because I feel like having like lots of eyes on you on TV and you're a host, like that sounds very, very scary.
It's very scary because no matter how many times you're in front of people, I feel like you always feel nervous. Like, at least that's the case with me. Maybe some people have a different experience, but it's scary, especially when again, I was like 20 or something at that time. I didn't have a lot of experience. So that was like really interesting to enter that TV world and be in front of the camera. And also the show was live. So there is no, like, it is what it is. Basically, that's the case. Whatever you say, it's there in the world and you can't reverse it, right? So that was, that was scary. But then you get in the groove, you like do a few, and then you're having fun. You're talking to the people, and you know that there are like thousands of people watching, and you're just with them in a way in their living room. I don't know how to explain. It's a weird feeling. Now I'm going back to it, and it's like, yeah. It's just memory lane you're putting me on. But I remember one time we had an earthquake, which was so trippy during like the show. And it's live. And I see the whole studio shaking. And I'm like, what is going on? But that's how determined I was to continue with my work, that I was like, no matter what's happening, people are watching, or they might be also freaking out. But I started talking about it. I'm like, everybody calm down. Like, it's going to pass. Or I continued with like the show, thinking that the people in the back are actually still recording, or not recording, but like still airing, right? I go there. It's all guys. They all dropped everything. They're like, what is happening? Hey, what is going on? And I'm like, guys, what happened? They were scared out of their minds. And I'm like, I'm the only woman here. And I like held the fort. You guys, what is going on? So that was like a funny one from back then. But yeah, it was scary, but also very, very fun and entertaining. Like, it was a great time.
So now I know to go to you if shit hits the fan, like you will remain emotionally stable and be all like, guys, you get it together.
Apparently, I had no idea. I feel like until you get into a situation like that, you just don't know how you're gonna react. You know, I always wonder, what am I gonna do in a life-threatening situation? But that was like, that was a good example of me holding it together. Hopefully that happens in a zombie apocalypse too, but we'll see.
In a zombie apocalypse. Oh, okay, going off of that, in a zombie apocalypse, would you survive or die? What do you think?
Okay, so I have an interesting theory about that.
Okay.
Because I always watch these movies and I'm like, okay, why would you even go through this whole turmoil? Like, through all the pain, and even if you survive, you'll need so much therapy. You're gonna have so much PTSD that, like, what is even the point of surviving that? So that's why, from that perspective, I'm a little bit on the softer side. So probably I'll be like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna just turn into a zombie. It's fine. I'm gonna be one of those. Yeah.
It's funny. I've thought about the same exact scenario, and I was all like, "No, I'm living," and I don't know why.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to survive. Like, if you need someone useful on your squad, that's gonna be me because I'm small. I can
You're
hide.
fast.
I'm fast.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can run fast. I can climb.
Flexible.
Shit. I'm flexible. I don't know why you would need flexibility.
Oh my
but
God,
like,
girl. Like, you're gonna need to be hunting at some point, probably. Like, there are a lot of things where you need flexibility for in that scenario. I mean, in other scenarios too, but you know.
Yeah, other scenarios too. I'm a great time.
She's a good time.
She's a good time in the zombie apocalypse. So I have a question for you. Were you media trained? Live filming is so scary. I can relate because I was a live performer. I was a circus performer. So any sort of screw up you have on stage, you better like cover that shit up somehow, you know? And that must have been very similar to filming, except with filming, you not only have the people in the studio, you also have all of the viewers at home. So did they train you at all? Like media trained, basically?
No, they actually did not. I think they took me from the website that I was working at, where I was like conducting interviews for and writing the articles. And then from there, I can't remember how we connected with the TV channel, but they took me from there, and like I never had a real formal training. I did have a little training in the city of my university, which is Veliko Târnovo, which nobody probably has ever heard of, but it's a town in Bulgaria. That's the old capital, and that's where I actually worked for briefly for another TV channel where they trained me a little bit in like how to talk in front of the camera, like the way you conduct yourself, all these things. But like a long formal training properly, no.
That's wild. Because I can imagine like how scary that would be. And also you are just like so articulate and going off.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really are. And going off of that, I know that English isn't your native language. And something that I can sort of relate to is I moved to Montreal where they speak French Canadian. And it is so scary to adapt to a new culture and to speak somebody else's native language. Like I had to learn like French Canadian, and I was so scared of like.
I didn't know. That's impressive.
I didn't do well, to be honest. Like I got
I'm
away
sure
with
you did.
no. I understood it, and I knew a few words to get me
That's
by,
pretty good.
but otherwise, like I'm not. I am nowhere
French is one of
near.
the most difficult languages. So even if you were able to understand what they're saying, that's like more than enough, to be honest. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
But with you, how I know you're on camera quite a bit for our job and everything. How has it been adjusting to going from speaking like your native tongue, like Bulgarian, to English, if that makes sense?
It's been a trip. Thank you for that question, Noeli. It's like, it's a very special thing to be bilingual, to be from two different cultures, because I consider US my home now. So I'm like bicultural in a way. Not in a way. I am bicultural. I go back home, and funny enough, even though I seem so foreign to people here, I go back home, I seem foreign to them too now. It's
That's
wild.
a thing. That's a thing.
Yes, it is a thing. Like you go back and they're like, you're so Americanized. It's you're different. They notice certain things that are just like they feel like I'm more removed from my culture, right? And it's normal when this is my home. But yeah, it's been a big journey. Just moving out of Bulgaria and like starting to speak in English on the daily was really trippy. And especially as a journalist, I wanted to continue that career. I wanted to continue writing. I wanted to continue pursuing that passion of mine. And coming to the States, I was very nervous about, am I ever going to be able to write and articulate myself the same way I can articulate myself in Bulgarian? And thank goodness I actually was hired by a website and I was writing articles for them. Canadian website, by the way.
Really?
Yes, Canadian website. I was doing like restaurant reviews and different lifestyle articles for them while I was living in Austin. And I was like, okay, this is possible. So that motivated me and made me feel more confident about me articulating and speaking in English. So yeah, thank you for saying that. And thank you for that question. It's a very important one because a lot of people out there struggle with that or have like an identity crisis sometimes around where am I from. When they ask me that question, I'm like, I am from Bulgaria, but I identify as so many things, right?
Yeah, and it takes so much bravery. That's what I learned, like going into a new culture. It takes so much bravery to speak the language of that culture, you know? And, you know, my parents are Filipino immigrants. Like, I'm first
They're
generation
so cute.
American. Oh, my gosh, my parents, they are really cute. But their English wasn't
Yeah.
when
Wasn't
there when they came to the U.S. and everything. And they had to assimilate into this culture. And it takes so much, it just takes a lot of bravery and courage to speak a different language that's not native to you.
Mm-hmm. It's very difficult because like people are, where is this accent from? And then I started answering, where is yours from? We all have accents from different places.
Where is yours from?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, you gotta like turn it in a different way. So there is more awareness around that. Like when I started asking people, where is your accent from? Even when they were American, they realized, oh, we all have accents. And like there is nothing bad about asking where you're from, but that shouldn't be like the question from the get-go because it makes the person not included. It's not an inclusive situation. Like, you can start the conversation with like what to do or whatever, like something different about their identity, so they can feel comfortable talking about their motherland and opening up more.
Yeah. On the sort of like reverse side, but I can still relate to that, is like every time I get into an Uber, and it's always a guy that asks me, they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm from California. I'm from like Anaheim. And they'll be like, no, where are you like really from? And I was like born in the US and everything. And I was all like, I'm from California. And they're like, no, like, where are you really, really from? And I'm like, I'm Filipino. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. And it's just, I don't know. It's just like an interesting, growing up Filipino in America, I've never felt quite American, especially growing up in sort of this environment where, it's like Victoria's Secret models that are mostly like white. I never really saw myself represented in media or in like movies or anything in America, right? So I kind of felt like an outcast. And then, going to the Philippines, I'm not Filipino enough. They're like, oh, you're American. But I'm not American enough to be American, if that makes sense.
Exactly. It's like this no man's land or whatever you want to call it, in between situation.
Yeah. So finding where I belong, or like making a space where I feel like I belong, was like difficult, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's like finding that blend between the identities and like learning more about all these different roots and cultures you have. I think it's very, very important. And like we actually had a conversation with my friend. She has Puerto Rican roots, and like she's really embracing that identity. And we talked a lot about, okay, like the immigrant situation, which I have, is talked about more, right? But we don't talk about the people who are in America, but they grew up here, but they do have identities or roots from somewhere else. And they do have this, they actually call it code switching.
Yes.
The thing between when you go back, let's say Puerto Rico or Bulgaria or Philippines, and you have to switch the code, and then you come back to America, and like it's hard, it's difficult to do, and people don't talk about these things, about like how we have to embrace it and have more awareness and be sensitive around these topics. So I think it's really important to talk about all of that. Yeah,
Totally. Oh, I love this conversation.
Me too. I love that you understand.
Thanks for understanding.
You get it. I feel seen.
I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel understood. Like,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's very important. I feel like, I was reading an article on code switching. It's super interesting, by the way.
yeah. Wait, you need to send me that article later. So, okay. How did you end up in Texas?
This is a very spicy question.
Okay, let's go.
Prepare. So it's actually a personal story that I haven't talked much about.
Oh, we love personal stories.
Basically, I was in Mexico with my best friends for 20 days. We were having a great time. And I met my ex there on the beach. And we fell in love. And like you say, rom-com story, typical rom-com story. And then I was living in Dubai at the time. And we made everything possible to make it happen. And that's when I moved to Austin, Texas. That was like, 5-6 years ago? Crazy.
And then you started doing art in Texas.
And then finally,
or pursuing it.
Yes, I was like doing art the whole time, honestly. Even during my travels, I always made time for like my creative process, even when I had other jobs. However, when I was in Texas, I was like able to just expand more. Like it's a great creative scene, a lot of artists there. So I finally started working on my style when it comes to the paintings, because when it comes to the clothes, I think I pretty much have my own style going on. But with the paintings, I wanted to like expand more, experiment. So I was able to get into galleries and do art shows, Austin studio tour, and like different things like that, and blend with the community there. So that was amazing.
Wait, that is amazing. And
yeah, I loved it.
What would you say is your style for creating clothes? Because you said you have that.
Thank you. So for clothes, I think it's like street style with like more. Eventually, I want to do more like how couture stuff, like dresses and like, but mostly street style, especially turning like suits and like more classic clothes into something more artsy because I'm just not a big fan of. That's how I started making clothes actually and customizing them because I was bored from everything I was seeing. And I was like, I don't want to wear the same thing that everyone is wearing. So I started just painting on them and like putting patches on and all of that. So it's just a blend of like, I don't know, even my mind maps, if you want. Some of the drawings I put on are just my personal thoughts or like experiences. So it's just a blend of that.
Can you talk through, for those actually watching like the video podcast form? Thank you. Also, little plug, follow, like, subscribe, comment if you're on Spotify. Follow, please put the little bell notification on. Rate it a 5 stars if you're digging it so far. Little plug there. Okay, going back. So for those watching the video podcast, can you describe like what I don't know, the heart on your sleeve means and like some of the art pieces that you have on your jacket right now?
So basically, I just love eyes because they're the windows to the soul, right? So
I have my necklace is.
I love that. I love your necklace. I just love eyes. I feel like they are truly the window to the soul. And when you look at someone's eyes, you know, like you can fall in love. You have all these emotions. It's just they're so expressive. So I pretty much implement eyes in all of my pieces. And then the heart, I mean, we all know what the heart means. It's just, you know, I just love painting hearts, but not the other ones too.
Not the basic heart. You're painting like an actual heart with like aortas and shit.
Like brutal. Like, so yeah, and then the peace sign. So all about peace and love. But basically, this one is like a lot of expressions on the back too.
Wait, what's on the
Like
back?
I think there is a face.
Oh, there's lips on it.
Yeah, so speaking your truth. Okay, so this is a big theme in my art, speaking your truth and being your most vulnerable self, because it was a long journey for me too. So a lot of the things in my art are connected to my personal experience, and I think that for a lot of artists, that's the case. And finding your voice is connected to finding your style. So it's all like connected, right? It's just so important to find your voice. And, you know, I'm going to get really woo here, but the throat chakra is very important for your personal voice and all of that. And I've been having issues with that for years. So on a physical level. So that's when it was a wake-up call for me. I got to start owning my truth and having boundaries with people. So that's why I implement that in my art as well.
When was the moment that you realize, wow, I need to start speaking your truth? Because I've had a very similar experience where...
Interesting.
Yeah.
How did it unfold for you?
Oh, that's personal. I feel like there were 2 really big pivotal moments. So one was when I dropped out of physical therapy school to become a circus performer. For that one, it was this just gut instinct in my soul, basically, where I was all like, you know, I've been following my mom and my dad and my family's expectations for me my whole life. Like they're immigrants to the U.S. They've sacrificed so much for me to go to like college and get a degree and to be something successful. They wanted me to be something that they wanted to give me the world, basically. And by dropping out of school, it was like I just dropped the ball. I dropped the world that they gave me. And so when I finally followed my gut instinct, and I honestly went through like a very like depressive, and I'll be honest, I was like suicidal at that time as well. When I went through that whole episode, I realized I can't please them anymore. Like I have to do something that is honor my truth. And I know it seems crazy that I'm dropping out of school and becoming a circus performer of all the professions that I could be. But like, I have to honor that truth. And ever since then I was like, and seeing how all of that like beautifully unfolded throughout the years. Like it wasn't easy. All of that shit was hard, but to see sort of like the fruits of my labor unfold and all of the experiences and all of like the learnings that I got from that, even though it was difficult, like I would do that all over again.
I love that.
And then
That's amazing.
Thank
that
you.
you did that. It takes it takes balls to do it, but it's really rewarding. You have to honor that like inner voice, right? And you did it.
Thanks. And then the second experience, and this one's going to get very personal. I was with somebody for 7 years. It was a
That's a
15-year long friendship. And I did get like married young, and we separated last year, which was really difficult. But and I'll always value the experiences that I've had with him. I learned a lot from him. He supported me like so much throughout the years we were together. But in the end, I think that I realized I needed to choose myself and like my own voice and learn how to be me, because if I'm being very honest with myself, I just wanted to be what he wanted me to be, and I would go to the ends of the world to sacrifice everything that I am to be what he wanted or his family wanted or what my family wanted. And so that's how I ended up moving to LA last year. And for the first time,
What a move.
And living on my own and really discovering like my voice and figuring out who I am. And it wasn't easy because honestly, I did have like codependency tendencies, and I am a recovering people pleaser. Like I would, for me, if I like really love people, I would sacrifice myself in a heartbeat to please other people, basically, to give.
You're a giver.
Thanks.
It's amazing. The givers are so much more powerful than the takers, and it will always be like that, you know? And you're a giver. It's amazing. What a journey.
Thanks. But yeah, that's basically two really big instances where I had to learn how to like find my voice. And none of that was easy to talk about. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. But
It's amazing. It takes a lot of bravery, but I feel like it's important to talk about these things, you know, Noeli, and it's very powerful to be able to say it, you know, like to other people, to yourself. It's almost like patting yourself on the back when you express what you went through. It's like a vision board of the past in a way. You put it on the wall and you're like, this is what I did, and that's where I am today. And it's powerful because it inspires other people to do so, other women. Unfortunately, I find out that a lot of women specifically have people-pleasing tendencies.
For sure.
And it happens to men too, absolutely. My current partner is a total people-pleaser. He's the biggest sweetheart in the world. And I'm so grateful for him, but it's unfortunately at the same time there are statistics that the bigger giver sometimes it takes away from them, even on a physical level. For me, it manifested even throughout autoimmune disease, and that's why I mentioned the thyroid gland and all of that. So that's why you have to stop and honor yourself. It's very important, and to set these boundaries. And it's been a very long journey for me too. And it's really difficult, but it's so rewarding. And when I moved to LA also was I call it my return back home to me.
Yeah.
Because it was a similar thing. Like with my ex, we had a very wild relationship where it was an awakening for me of some sort. I had to really step back and see the whole picture of my life, not only the relationship with him, but it really made me evaluate everything that I've been through, and all the programming that came afterwards from the experiences in my childhood. Why am I the way I am? What are the patterns that I have on a subconscious level that control my life without my consent? And I had to really sit back and understand all of that and make changes. I had no other choice. I had two choices. I was like, do I want to be happy or not? Do I want to keep repeating that or not? And that's when I had to just do the change inside, stop being a victim, because sometimes, and we are victims sometimes of circumstances. However, I had to really get my power back. And it was, again, very personal, but with my ex, I went into the rabbit hole of, toxic personalities and narcissism and all of that, which has been a huge topic on social media and everywhere. And at one point I had to step back and be like, I have responsibility for myself. Like, I have no responsibility or control over how much and how someone grows or wants to grow. I can't push them or control or do anything. And sometimes people are just not compatible. Doesn't have to be, but I want to work on my patterns, right?
Totally.
So that's when I started going back to my inner voice, like you're talking about, and honoring what I truly want to be. I want to be that weirdo. And that's a full circle moment that went to that casting, the modeling casting, and said, I write poems and I love art and I'm weird and I'm all these things that are just not like, don't make sense sometimes to other people, but I want to own that and like wear that and show it to the world. And I don't want to make myself feel small or like maybe put myself in a box for other people, which I tried to do for my ex, for other people like in my life. And I just don't want to do it anymore. And I feel so much better about it. And yeah.
Oh my gosh, congrats to you on your journey.
And to you.
I feel
we're
like
doing great.
We're doing great.
We're doing amazing.
No, but honestly, I feel that so much, like even with social media, like the number one advice people give is like find your niche and just stick to that niche. And you can't express everything that you are, and that's so false. Like I feel like I went to VCon recently and Drew Barrymore was speaking, and she was actually saying like I got pigeonholed into acting and I had to be this certain type of actress, but like fuck it, I don't want to be that. I want to be a mom too. I like furniture, so I'm gonna do interior design. And she said, and the biggest advice and the biggest advice she gave was do not be afraid to express everything that you are. Every facet that you are, because society will try to put you in a box. And I think that's like the overarching thing in this podcast together that I realize is like both of us have been put into boxes. Like we have different life circumstances, but we have felt that societal pressure or that familial pressure or like a pressure from a partner to fit a certain mold. And both of us said, no, we're done. Basically, we're over it, and we're owning our voice. And I think that, and we're acknowledging that we did learn like these sort of like bad habits, I guess you could say, because we were put into these roles, but we're unlearning it, and we're owning who we are and what we stand for, and we're not afraid to voice our opinions. And this podcast, actually, I had this idea for this podcast to interview like up and coming creatives and their journeys and have transparent, uncensored conversations with them for like a few years now. But I knew if I wanted to do a podcast, because it is so intimate, you're listening to me and my guests for an hour long. Like if I don't show up true to who I am, then I can't do this podcast.
Exactly.
So being able to do this podcast and being able to put out episodes every single week, it's, for me, this is like a little celebration, honestly, of myself and my guests, of like we show up who we are and we stand by our opinions, and you can't show up who you are if you don't do the work.
And it's something so freeing, and you have to show up unfiltered. With all the perfectionism is another thing that this conversation makes me think about, because I was trying to be so perfect in like, okay, I'm going to release this line or this piece or whatever when it's perfect. But the truth is that we're not perfect. The world is not perfect. So you have to just show up every day to your craft, to the people you love, to like what you want to create in the world, and then the universe or source or whatever you want to call it will reward you for all of that. And even if it doesn't, you have to just fall in love with the process and just love what you do, because that's another lesson I had to learn during that journey, that it's just not that about the end goal. I just had to focus on the process and love it. And it's just, there is so much pressure when, as creative people, oh, we have to put something in the world that's meaningful, right? But everything is meaningful. Us having these conversations meaningful. You buying me coffee this morning was meaningful. You know, like it's truly in these little things. And it's all art. It's all creative. We're creating on the daily. When people tell me, oh, I'm not a creative, I'm not an artist, I'm like, no, you are an artist. Everyone is an artist. Like, we're creating all the time. We just don't realize it. And it's just so beautiful when you can inspire others to be their true selves. I think that's like at the core of what I want to do, is just be your creative expression. Just like make things. I want to create things and inspire others to also be unfiltered, unleashed, untamed, and just go crazy. Like, there is nothing to lose. Like, you know, a big factor is shame and embarrassment for people. They're like so afraid. There is this big fear of shame, like this, like, what if I fail? Yeah, but like failure is also beautiful. It's all a lesson. It's all part of it. So I think it's just so cool to be able to inspire others to just go and do their thing. And you're doing it with this podcast, and it's just so amazing.
Oh, thank you. How did you overcome perfectionism? Because that's hard.
A big creator helped me. I was listening to her podcast.
Oh.
In an interview, actually, she said, maybe I can say the name, Tessa Barton. She's a big influencer in LA. She created the Tessa app, so with her partner. And she was explaining how basically they were waiting for that perfect moment in their New York apartment. They were working a different job. They were working on their app and their creative projects after work. And they were always waiting for it to be perfect. Because with apps, as you know, when you're developing an app, there are so many like bugs, and like it can easily, you know, like something can happen, it's not working. So they were worrying about that, but they just released it. And there were bugs, and there were like mini failures, but at the end it worked out. They're like super, like such a power couple. They've built so much. And she said, just do it. Like through the process, once you release the thing, no matter a podcast, put a painting in the world, whatever it is, even if it's not perfect, you're gonna learn something, right? Like from that, in the next thing, you're gonna be able to navigate and do it better. But there is no better. That's the other thing. Like everything is just as it has to be. So yeah, that really helped me. And then later on, I just stopped worrying about what people would think, because it's a fine relationship between the artist and the art. It's between the two of us in a way. Like, I'm in a flow state, and it's like almost like a communication between this like powerful energy, you know, and everything else doesn't matter. It's almost like I put it in the world, but I can't take even the credit for it in a way, if that makes sense. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah, no, I've heard.
Like, it's just, I do it and I put it out there. It's not me. It's like, that's what I believe in. So sometimes the ego kicks in. The ego is a big trap for artists, the ego trap. So I've worked on that too, because you don't want to like assign your ego to your work, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
And your identity. Yes, they're connected in a way. Your art is an expression of your soul, yourself. But at the same time, it's a part of this bigger energy, if that makes sense. Right?
I love that.
It's trippy. It's really trippy. But yeah, that helped me with perfectionism. It's like, what does it even mean, perfect, at the end of the day? When do we know it's perfect? All of that. Yeah. Is it just fear that you don't want to be judged? Fear of judgment?
Is it just fear? Is it just fear?
Yes. get out there.
Yeah, get out there right now.
Yes.
Do the thing.
Do it today, not tomorrow. Don't procrastinate.
Okay, so we create content for brands on a daily, and you're also creating content on social as well. How do you manage that? Because that's something that I'm trying to do too, is find like a nice like cadence of, okay, I'm gonna post like on my socials, like on like Monday, Wednesday, Friday sort of deal. But like it's so hard to like balance everything. How do you do it?
It's hard. Yeah, like I don't think there is a specific formula. I think that it's like customizable per the person, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just try to film as much as possible, and I don't have certain days or anything like that. No, I don't have certain days. I try to post 3 times on Instagram. On TikTok, I've been trying to post every day recently, which you know how it is with the algorithm. We work that. It's so with social media, my journey is been very interesting because I stopped attaching myself to that digital identity as well, if that makes sense.
Ooh.
Meaning I just want to be as authentic as I am, and not like thinking about the likes or the engagement, because again, opportunities come my way whether the engagement's up or not. You know what I mean? People see what you're doing, and like eventually, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can have big engagement, but no projects are coming your way, or you're not like seen or whatever. I'm sure maybe there are cases like that. So you just have to like post and put yourself out there. It's all possible. We talked about it. It's all possible.
And it's all possible.
Yep.
Did you have like a real pop off on Instagram or a viral moment that called attention to your social media that made people reach out to you? Was there any sort of viral sort of moment, or did people just organically see it?
I don't think there was like a big like moment like that, to be honest. I can't think of anything specific in particular. I guess they just came across my posts, but I can't think of like a viral video that blew up or anything like that crazy. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That actually gives hope to a lot of people.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you just, it doesn't need to be crazy engagement. You have to just put yourself out there, period.
Yeah.
And if the work resonates, the right people will reach out.
Yeah.
As simple as that. That's at least from my experience, right? Of course, engagement is great. We're all working towards that. It's awesome. But I'm just saying the most important is the work at the end of the day. What value you bring? What are you putting out there?
Why do you think people resonate with your work?
Again, because I think it's coming from a lot of personal experiences, and it's just maybe empowering. And by the way, it's connected a lot with my spiritual journey, even though I don't like the word spiritual because it became so trendy nowadays. However, maybe awareness journey. And I think that people can see that through my work in a, I don't know, some subtle way or energetically, even if you want. And maybe that's why.
That kind of reminds me of like how people gravitate toward like different personalities and everything. I know with me, it's kind of sweet. I've heard this from like not just like one person, but a few people. People are like, oh, when you like come into the office or like when you come into the room, you're like sunshine.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to brag or anything that I'm sunshine.
But you are. You're a beam of light, honestly. And exactly. People like you are so welcoming and warm and have that beautiful energy. So therefore, your work is going to be good. You know, it's all connected. And maybe that's why some people resonate with my work. And again, by the way, not everyone is going to resonate. That's another truth that as creatives, we have to embrace. Not everyone's going to be recognizing themselves in your work, and that's fine. It's not for everyone.
Have you ever gotten criticism, and has that affected you?
Oh my God, I have a good one.
Oh, we love them. Spill the tea.
So,
I'm ready. I'm going to drink my drink. I'm ready.
Have some coffee for this one. So there was this Bulgarian artist, and I don't think we ever met. But anyways, we spoke, and he's an amazing painter, right? Like he makes phenomenal work. And I was already doing the wearable art and the other art, but I was more focused on the wearables. And I was like asking him, I guess, for direction, right? And he said, your clothes are really cool. I think people really would like those. But however, when it comes to the paintings, I don't know. There's a lot of, maybe you should focus mostly on the clothes. And I'm like, okay, all right. And now I can say that I've sold a lot of paintings, right?
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, I don't know where I should watch, but just so you know, it's not what you said. Like, you can do anything. When someone tells you that you're either not good at something or that you should focus on something else, you should listen to yourself and what you want to do, not what they're saying. Even if they're professional, everybody has a very different journey. You just don't know. So if I want to make paintings, I'll make paintings, and everything is practice, the rule of the 10,000 hours.
Yep.
If you put a lot of work into something, it's eventually going to be good work, right? So,
exactly.
But that was a rough moment. That's ingrained in my consciousness. But then I understood that it's just his opinion, right?
Yeah. And does his opinion really matter? No, no kidding. No
It
offense
matters.
to him.
No, it's always good to get constructive criticism.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
important. And even brutal moments of criticism like that, it's a good wake-up call. And also what you have to work on harder. So
Yeah.
all of these things are good. It depends on how you look at them.
That's so true. Like my
Yeah.
very first circus class, and I can honestly say I was awful. I couldn't climb, I couldn't go upside down or
Wow.
anything. This is my very first circus class. And the instructor, there were two girls. It was me and another girl who was a dancer gymnast. So she could climb. She was super flexible. She was already graceful, first class and everything. And the instructor went to her and was like, oh my gosh, you are the epitome of grace and beauty. You need to do this. And she went to me and was all okay, bye. And that was basically my first no, this isn't for you. But I had a gut feeling in my chest. I was like, if I work really, really hard at this, I think I can do this. And then throughout my whole circus career, obviously I had coaches. So they would give me constructive criticism, oh, you need to fix this, you need to work on this. And it's about taking those sort of constructive criticisms and either incorporating and learning from it or being all you know what, actually, I think I'm gonna actually stick with my gut on this. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important to listen to yourself before you listen to anybody else. Yeah, I love that. And of course, when you just start with something, you're not gonna be
Exactly.
What does it mean? Talent is 1% of everything, 99% work.
It's so true.
So there are thousands of talented people sitting somewhere all around the world, but let's say fear gets on the way, something else, and they're just not making the moves, right? And there are other people who might not have that natural talent so much, let's say, but they're I'm gonna make this happen.
Yeah.
And these are the people who succeed, in my opinion.
No, it's so true. And those are the people that have long careers in whatever they're doing because they put in the work and they're putting themselves out there.
Yes.
You may have all the talent in the world, but if you don't put your work out there, you're not going to get
Exactly.
the gig or the job or whatever. And it's in a way when people don't put out their talent or their gift or whatever they're working on out in the world, it's kind of a disservice to humanity because the world needs to see. Oh my God! It's
Yes.
a disservice to humanity because someone out there probably needs to see your work or will feel something from your work or will resonate with your art. And I don't know, I'm a big proponent of put your art out there, your work out there, even when it's sloppy and messy. Someone out there will appreciate it, I think.
Exactly.
The right people see it.
Totally. And mental health is such a big problem right now. And I feel art and just creativity in general is so healing. All of that needs to be out there to support people on their journey. And your gift is given to you for you to express it and reach your fullest potential. Otherwise, it's just a mediocre existence and you're not living in your power.
It's just a mediocre existence, she says.
You're making yourself small. I don't want to live small. No.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Go big or go home,
Yes.
bitch.
Yes.
Go big or go home, bitch.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, bitch. Buckle up, bitch. Also, I'm gonna segue back. Let's play Fuck, Marry, Kill. Would you?
You know, I don't think I've ever played that. Is that an
Really?
American game?
That's an American game. Do you know how it's played?
Not sure, but
Okay.
I'm up for the challenge.
Okay, so basically, I'm gonna give you 3 people,
Mhm.
and you have to choose who you would fuck, who you would marry, and who you would kill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. Okay.
Okay, ready?
I think so.
Okay. Fuck, marry, kill.
Okay.
Zac Efron, Gerard Butler, or one of the Bulgarian singers that you interviewed.
I think I would marry Gerald Butler, but I would sleep with Zac Efron. And I would definitely kill the Bulgarian celebrity.
You just killed the Bulgarian singer?
Sorry. Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was
Oh,
inappropriate with women when I last saw him.
Oh, that's a red flag.
Yeah, red flag.
Yeah.
Dead.
Dad killed off.
Yeah.
He's done.
Get off.
And one last question. What are you manifesting for the rest of this year, next year? What's the vibe?
I want to read more books.
Okay.
I have like always a goal of 12 books a year, so one a month. So last year I did 9. This year, hopefully, I'll do 12. One of them is 600 pages, so wish me luck. So that's one, and definitely just creating more, being around authentic people. I do not want to deal with low vibrations, bad energy. I just want to be around uplifting people, and I want to manifest just, I don't know, more kindness for all of us. I don't know. We need it after what we've been through with the pandemic and just a lot of different turmoils in the world. I think we all need a little bit of kindness.
So most people manifest like Grammy Awards and Oscars. You're manifesting kindness for the world. That says a lot about you, bitch.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so sweet, Noeli. I do not think of it that way. I don't know. It's a funny one. It's a funny one because I think when I was younger, I would think about those things that you mentioned. And I was like so focused on it, like, okay, the big dreams, which is amazing. I still want them, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, there are things that if you focus your energy on like gratitude and all these like little things, I think everything else follows.
It's so
You
true.
know?
And those little things are actually like the bigger picture, the big things.
Exactly.
Like being grateful and like being kind to other people and having like empathy and accepting other people for who they are. Like that's what really
Exactly.
matters. Where can people find you on social media?
So on Instagram, I'm Hope Lamber, HOPELAMBREV. No, that's my surname.
You're like, no, I got that wrong.
Hold on a second. So Hope Lamber. Yeah, I'm not gonna spell it. Yeah, my foreign ass.
I'll pop
Yes.
your username somewhere.
Thank
on
you.
it.
But Hope Lamber on Instagram. I also have a website, hopelamber.com, where it's an e-commerce where I sell all my artwork. Artwork and wearable art, and yeah.
You know what? Follow Nadya on TikTok. She's gonna pop off. You are like it's true. I believe in you 1,000%. You've done so many things with your
Thank
life. You should be
you.
so proud.
Thank you. So did you. Like, I think we're doing great.
And I actually I genuinely believe that. I know like some people like on podcasts are like, we're doing great, but like actually though, like I think
Yeah, you gotta give
it's-
credit to yourself sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
I think it's one thing to have done like the things that we have done with our lives. Like you've been so many different things and you've been so successful at so many different things.
Thank you.
But it's also another thing to really be able to show up as like your authentic self and to be confident in who you are, but like truly confident, not like fake ass confident, like
Yes.
just truly be who you are. And you're someone from like the day I met you, you're unapologetically yourself.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Really? That's how you see it? I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. I feel like it's, as we said, it's been a long journey. And you call it silence confidence. And I think confidence is really built. And we talked about it in the fashion industry. There is a lot of like fakeness to a degree. There are a lot of like amazing people, obviously, too. But there are a lot of people who struggle with self-worth, right? So it's been a long journey to build that confidence and to be true to myself without, the ego and all of that. It's a fine line. It's a lot of fine tuning to your personal like brand and identity. And again, that leads me to the next thing. People are not brands, by the way. That's the other thing. I feel like we're all trying to brand ourselves, but we're real human beings, right? So I'm trying not to forget that too on the daily.
This was beautiful. Okay,
I love this.
I think we're done, and thank you so much for being on the podcast. You are the absolute best, and it's an honor to have you in my
God,
life and on here.
I love this, and I love working with you. And Noeli, you're so wonderful, and you are such a light. It was such an honor to be here and to have this conversation with you. What a blast. And I hope people have a blast listening to it and watching it too.
I know. They gotta buckle up, bitch.
Buckle up, y'all.
Y'all. Oh, that's the Texan. That's the Texan in me. That's the Texan in you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Okay.